Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. On our latest Fantasy Month review, we're reviewing Thor, Tales of Asgard, which is a 2011 animated movie directed by Sam Liu, who directed Planet Hulk and Hulk vs. It's written by Craig Kyle and Greg Johnson, who wrote like a lot of the Marvel animated movies, and they also wrote Wolverine and X-Men. I almost said Kevin for some fucking reason. This stars Matthew Wolf as Thor, Rick Gomez as Loki, Tara Strong as Sif, and the rest of the voice actors are pretty much people from Ocean Group. And you even have Alistair Abel as Fendrel. Alistair Abel voiced the main character, Colin McLeod, in the Highlander anime movie that we reviewed, like Highlander Search of Vengeance, earlier in Fantasy Month. So, honestly, I did not like this movie. It's basically uh, coming of age tale for Thor. Despite the really fucking cool cover, which I think is drawn by Alex Ross. The art style in the cartoon is pretty... I would say it's pretty shitty at best. It's not as cool as like in like Hulk versus or in like other Marvel movie cartoons like, you know, Ultimate Avengers or even Iron Man and Doctor Strange, which we might review Doctor Strange next week. Why not? That's kind of fantasy. Yeah, so the story is basically Thor is like a spoiled teenager. He realized that people have been going easy on him, and that people question whether or not he's a good fighter or not. So, on the advice of this dark elf that is Odin's advisor, I forget his name, man. I'm All or something like that. He takes his brother Loki and smuggles onto the ship of the Warriors 3, which is Volstagg, Hogan, and Fandral. The Warriors 3 are these characters from the Marvel comic books, Thor, that like help him on his like adventures and stuff. They like to brag about their like adventures to everybody. It turns out what they really do is like they hang out in a tavern and like steal people's stories. So what happens is Thor and Loki confront them, and then they force them to go on a real quest. So the quest they're on is to find the Sword of Surtur, which a lot of young people go on quests to Jotunheim, the realm of the Frost Giants, to look for the Sword of Surtur as a kind of like initiation test. Not initiation test. It's basically like it's like a test of manhood, kind of. What ends up happening is they actually do find the sword of Surtur. Surtur being this like fire demon. If you read the Thor comics, yeah, he actually is a thing. Though like Surtur, I'm pretty sure from playing SMT isn't a Norse god, but you know it doesn't fucking matter. If you read the Thor comics, you have the fucking Greek gods show up, the Celtic gods, you know, even like the Egyptian gods are like enemies of Asgard, right? So it doesn't really matter. And what ends up happening is like Thor accidentally is forced to kill like two frost giants, and this starts a war between the Asgardians and the frost giants. So like Thor has to man up and, you know, basically put things right. So the movie is super short. It's only an hour 16 minutes. The movie is also like, I went looking for like a lot of Marvel animated movies. I was kind of in the mood earlier this year to watch them for nostalgic reasons. Though honestly, a lot of them are shitty. Besides from like Hulk versus and Planet Hulk and Ultimate Avengers, a lot of them are just straight up garbage. Like I watched like I bought I spent like $70. I bought a shitload of them used at like at thrift store where they had like all of them, even the motion comic DVDs. I even have like Thor, Brotherhood or whatever the fuck that motion comic's called. Maybe I'll review that. Yeah, a lot of them are shitty. The only ones worth watching are, like I mentioned, Planet Hulk, Hulk versus Ultimate Adventures. This to me is probably a 6 out of 10 at best. So I thought the action was okay. The art style they use is pretty shitty. It's not nearly as good as those cartoons that I've mentioned. There's leftist shit in there, like the Valkyries for some reason are not allied with the Asgardians. They're like their own thing, and they're like man-hating. They're basically like man-hating lesbians. Which is like, dude, like, okay, whatever. What? That's just the Craig Kyle and Greg Johnson pushing their leftist shit. Which, if you read like their comics, there's plenty of that. Though I would say during the halfway point, the movie is somewhat fun, despite the fact that they I didn't like how they made like Thor this like kind of, spoiled, like, I don't know, I don't like their portrayal of Thor, but then again, they kind of did that in the first Marvel Thor movie. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I kind of don't like how Thor without his hammer is pretty weak. Though if you ever read the Marvel graphic novel Thor Ragnarok, he loses his hammer in that, and he is pretty useless without it, which I thought is kind of bullshit. But yeah, I don't know. What can you do, right? They're going off the comics. I don't know. The movie is fun at times. Like it does have this like Star Wars feel to it. You have young people going on an adventure. I don't know. This movie at best is like a 6 out of 10, and it's out of print, so it's gonna be hard to find. I only paid like $7 for this, so it's like I don't feel like going too harsh on it. And on the DVD it comes with, not only do you have the commentaries, but you got a bonus episode of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which that cartoon was okay. It wasn't that bad. It was better than most Marvel cartoons. Honestly, if you're gonna check out the old Marvel cartoons, the only ones worth watching are the Spider-Man one, X-Men, though it's super leftist. Though X-Men, after like season 3 of X-Men, the animation looks kind of shitty. I don't know if they switched studios, but yeah. Silver Surfer, that's a really good one, and that only lasts one season. The Incredible Hulk cartoon, season 1 was good, season 2 was garbage. I hated the Iron Man cartoon, but I started watching it again, and it's not that bad. But yeah, it's that strangely enough is still in print, and I bought 2 copies and have one for myself. One I'm giving to my nephew for Christmas. Yeah, so that's all I have to say. Maybe I'll review the Doctor Strange movie, not the live action, the animated one, because I have that too. Yeah, so if you got any requests for fantasy movies that you want me to watch for Fantasy Month, I'm still taking recommendations, but for books or comic books, unless I have it, I'm probably not gonna do it for Fantasy Month this year, but maybe next year. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. And if you have a movie recommendation, a fantasy movie recommendation that you want me to watch, and it happens to be on YouTube at the same time, I'm more than likely I'll review it. Okay, all right, peace. You'll be surprised to see what fantasy movies are on YouTube. Like, uh, I like Hawk the Slayer and the Sword and the Sorcery. Uh, sorry, Sword and the Sorcerer were on YouTube. Just so you know. All right. Peace.